Hey, I'm Ted Santos, and you know me for having conversations about topics that are either counterintuitive or maybe even disruptive, politically incorrect. And I want to see if I can kill two birds with one stone. I'm kind of thinking out loud, but this conversation is coming from some things that have come to my attention. And you see, the title is people are people are played, getting played every day. Uh, Even some things that don't even seem like you're getting played. For example, in the workplace, they are creating machines and computers that are more human-like, and at the same time, they're asking people to be more machine-like. Don't think, just do your job. This makes no sense, right? Computers, machines that are humans, and people that act like robots. And how does that spill over into other aspects of your life where you become more Mr. Robotic? The other thing is telling men to be more feminine and asking women to be more masculine. And that kind of leads me to where I want to take this topic. So, about more than a year ago, I made a video, a live stream, and I talked about how Kevin Samuels, while there is a good intention to help women, ultimately he was teaching women to lie. He was teaching them to be actresses. And about a month before he died, I made a post on Facebook saying exactly that. Kevin Samuels is not there to help men, he's there to help women, and he's teaching them to lie. And most men, it kind of went over their head. It didn't even make sense. And even today, as you see all these videos where this women are soft and feminine, 5 years ago, that was not a trend. But what caused it to be a trend is Kevin kept hammering into their head that you don't know what men want. You're clueless. You've been told to get your education, get a job. You don't need a man. Men are worthless, and compete with men because you're better than men. You're smarter. You're more mature. And women came at men competitive, and I'm better than you, and I'm smarter than you. And then he kept saying you need to be fit, feminine, and friendly. I have a problem with slogans because slogans are easy to repeat. People act like parrots and they just repeat exactly what they heard. So when I say that women were given instructions on how to be actresses, and now you see all these videos of women being so soft and feminine, I don't know, is it because COVID showed women how vulnerable they are and how much they do need men? Does the idea of a recession coming and making matters life worse that women are seeing maybe they do need men? But the fact that men can't see that is really the problem I want to address. So this whole idea of also getting played is comes under the heading of psychological warfare. Some people say there is a war on masculinity, a war on men. And at the same time, China is over there teaching their boys how to be more masculine. And here we're asking people to be machines and for men to be women. Until a war starts, then all of a sudden men have their role and they should get on the battlefield and fight while women go cook in the kitchen for the children. But the fact that men are not fully seeing what's happening is what I want to address, because in psychological warfare, men are not armed to deal with it. So women are saying and doing things, and men have no way of managing it. And women overtalk you and they silence you, uh, and you actually believe that makes them more capable because they silence you. Yet the whole world is being built by men because they have the intellectual capacity to build civilizations that are very complex. So, what men are taught to do is to have a fog around them. So they accept this notion that they need to get into their feminine side. And then women resent you for that. They don't like the nice guy who's feminine and feeling and sensitive. They resent you. They'll tell you you're not a man. They'll tell you that they are more man than masculine than you are. So men have this fog of all this propaganda that's been telling them that they're not as capable as women. And then you have the media that shows this. What men are not taught to do is to actually see what's going on. So we're told to be mindful, we're told to be introspective, we're told to be insightful, we're told to have feelings about things, get in touch with your feelings, your passions, and we're told to be aware. So here's how I'm going to say awareness is like a trap because it means nothing. And I'll do this with an illustration. So all of us have minds, right? And our minds can be tampered with through psychological warfare. And that creates this fog. So think of psychological warfare as being your mind is hacked. Someone plants a virus in it, and then they control the virus. And that causes you to do things that are not even logical for you as a man, even as a woman. And then you end up resenting one another. So someone can create a battle of the sexes, completely control society by hacking into your mind, planting a virus, and telling men to be women and women to be men, and then fight one another. And everyone loses. And we're seeing that. So just saying I'm aware that I have triggers, for example, is kind of irrelevant. And I'll tell you why. Imagine you're walking down the beach and you need to get further down the beach, except you come to this fence and it says, for the next 100 meters, there are mines planted here at the beach. And if you step on the mine, you die. So if you want to get to the other side of the beach, now you're aware that there are mines in a minefield. And what does that do for your safety? You're aware if you step on a mine, you can die. You're aware there are mines there and it means nothing. You can be introspective, self reflect, and still. If you need to get to the other side of that minefield, you can't get there. And see, the way these minefields in your mind, and if you could think that when viruses are planted in your mind, they create minds. Like your mind is filled with minefields. Someone says something you don't like, they do something you don't like, and there's this trigger, and it's like the minefield goes off. So even though you are aware there's a minefield, what happens? This is your life. Trigger after trigger. That's what your life looks like. And people don't want triggers. You're told, well, it's only human and that's the way it's supposed to be. And you actually believe that. That's another way people get played. Be more introspective. Be more aware. But you're not trained to manage and unlearn your triggers, to untrigger your triggers. See, with proper training, what you gain are distinctions, being able to distinguish the minds, being able to reverse engineer, dismantle them. So if you and I are walking down the beach and I tell you, look, I have 20 years of training to be able to walk through minefields. I have distinctions that allow me to see the land. There's a When you plan a mine, there's a certain way the land appears, but you have to be trained to have that distinction. It's an eye. It's a distinction for mines in the land. Not only can I distinguish the mind in the land, I can uncover it, dismantle it, and you and I can walk to the other side. I've done this dozens of times, and my experience allows me to first distinguish the mind in the minefield, uncover it, dismantle it, and move one step forward. And if you follow my footsteps, you will be able to safely get to the other side of the field. Now, I could even train you to do this. That takes much longer than getting you to the other side of the field. So, your awareness that there's a mine in a minefield doesn't stop you from blowing up and dying, getting triggered. Having distinctions for that is what people are not trained to do. So we're left to have this fog from this psychological warfare that puts us in a battle with self and the opposite sex, and even with the same sex. And people have no way of dismantling their triggers because they've been told that's just, it is what it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is become more aware, self reflect, where yet the minefield is there. The virus has been planted in your mind. They do it through music, like a lot, through movies, through books, the education system. Even your parents have minds, and sometimes they impose or you inherit some of the minds in their mind. So until you learn to unlearn and you develop the capacity to distinguish, to have distinctions for the minds that have been implanted in your mind, it makes it easy for you to get played. It makes it easy for men and women to clash. And you'll continue having these explosions and believing that this is just the way life is. It's almost like someone just pulled wool over our eyes and said, hey, man, there's nothing you can do about it except become more self aware and spend more time reflecting. But training, not just reading books are good, but this requires training. So if you wanted to be a physically strong from lifting weights, you could read all the books in the world and your body is still going to look the same. You can read all the books about weightlifting. And when you go into the gym and you put 225 pounds on that bench press and you come down, it's going to drop like a ton of bricks on your chest because you haven't trained. All you've done is spent a year reading books about weight training. And even having the proper technique is going to require someone to help you and show you the proper technique. You may have routines, but you may not know how to do the exercises properly. So, my suggestion is find someone who can train you. They call them coaches, but not just some life coach, someone who really understands the business of not only business, the business of life, because everyone is a leader in their own life. So you can catch me on all social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, IG, inbox me if you'd like to talk about training. In the meantime, like my video, I'd like to hear comments from you about this. What do you think? If you want to talk about some of your triggers, love to hear. but you can untrigger your triggers. Like, subscribe to my channel, and share this video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Goodbye.